Hello, delegates. Welcome to the E. Ahmed Model United Nations Virtual Conference 2021. My name is Rachel Bobby, and I will be serving as President of Historical Security Council for this conference. During the course of this webinar, you will be briefed on Council procedures, position papers, and the process of resolution making. We'll also introduce the topic at hand scheduled to be discussed during the Council sessions.
Hello delegates, I am Yusra Kayas Valyakat. I will be serving as your Vice President for the Historical Security Council during this virtual conference. As your Vice President, it is my honor to welcome you all to this virtual conference and to ensure that you all have a memorable conference.
Hi delegates, I am Alvin K. Jose and I will be serving as a rapporteur for this conference. I will be assisting the Bureau to ensure that the rules of procedure are followed at all times, the agenda flows peacefully, and that the delegates do not divert from the topic at hand. The United Nations Security Council is one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations, charged with ensuring international peace and security. The 5 permanent members of the Security Council are China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. The non-permanent members are elected on a regional basis to serve a term of 2 years. To be approved, a candidate must receive at least 2/3 of all votes cast for that seat. Unlike the non-permanent members, the P5 had the right to vote any resolution taken up by the Council.
We would first like to brief the delegates on the topic we have at the Security Council. Delegates, please note that during this conference, you will have a freeze date. A freeze date is an assumed date that will be imposed on committee sessions. For this committee, the freeze date is 18th October 2011. This implies that we will be having discussing proceedings only on or before 18th October 2011. The Libyan civil war is an ongoing conflict as of 18th October 2011 in Libya, a country located in the southern Africa. This conflict resulted from the clash of forces of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi and certain supported groups. In the beginning of 2011, amid a wave protest throughout the country in Middle East and North Africa, established organizations began to demonstrate peaceful protests against the deep-rooted regimes. This led to transfer of powers in Egypt and Tunisia. Similar uprising against the 4-decade rule of Muammar al-Gaddafi took place in Libya, which led to a widespread civil war and intervention of international military. Till here is where your committee will start. You are requested to refer to your background guides for further knowledge about your committee.
Okay, delegates. Next is the rules of procedure. The rules of procedure are imperative to ensure effective flow of council sessions and are therefore essential that each and every one of you delegates be thorough with what will govern all of the council sessions. Each session begins with a roll call, wherein the bureau member will call out the names of the member states in alphabetical order. Delegates are expected to raise their placards and say present or present and voting when their country has been called out. The roll call is the first thing you do in the council. In case a delegate arrives after the roll call, he or she is expected to send a note to the chair confirming their presence. The flow of debate has 3 phases, namely the general debate, informal consultations, and the formal meeting or the action phase, where adoption of the resolution by consensus takes place. General debates are an opportunity for each delegate to outline their nation's general thinking on the topic, highlight any particular national concern, and suggest incentives or any other course of action the country intends to pursue at the conference. The order of the speakers as well as the time limit per speech will be predetermined by the Bureau and will be informed to the delegates during the conference. I advise you to keep it between 45 to 60 seconds. Should you exceed the time limit, you may have to cut short your speech so as to ensure that every speaker on the list gets a chance to voice their opinion. The general debate is the moment the whole council gets to know about your research and your country's stance on the topic. Think of it as your first impression. In addition, if the delegate feels the need to respond to a statement made by another country, he or she is allowed a statement to reply. This is known as the right to reply. A delegate who wishes to exercise his right to reply can only do so twice during the general debate once all of the delegates have had a chance to speak. Delegates do note that the rules of procedure followed in the Security Council differ slightly from those in other councils. At the Security Council, delegates do not break away into blocks. Instead, the resolution is drafted by the Council as a whole, and the final resolution is adopted based upon the Council's decision. The delegates can vote in favor of it, against it, or abstain from voting at all. For a more detailed explanation of the proceedings of the Council sessions, please refer to the rules of procedure available on the EAMUNC website.
Next is the resolution writing process and achieving consensus. The resolution is one of the two important documents prepared by the United Nations Security Council. The resolution is an important part of an MUN. Resolutions are drafted and prepared by mutual agreements among member nations. Delegates, kindly keep in mind the main goal of the conference is not to have a cutthroat competition between fellow delegates, but to work together to draft a comprehensive and elaborate resolution that adheres to all countries and aims to solve the problem in the most efficient manner possible and to achieve consensus. Resolution consists of two parts, the preambulatory and operative paragraphs. First, preambulatory paragraphs. These specify steps that have been already taken by member nations to address the aforementioned problem. These will start with preambulatory clauses which have been specified on the EAMUNC website. The operative paragraphs. These specify the steps that member nations wish to take to solve the problem brought about by the aforementioned topic. Again, the operative paragraphs will start with any of the operative clauses which have been specified on the EAMUNC website. The draft resolution will be displayed for all delegates. Following this, there will be a line-by-line review of the draft resolution. Delegates can utilize this opportunity to make amendments. A proposed amendment can add a paragraph, delete a paragraph, or modify an existing paragraph. Once all amendments have been made, the council moves into an action phase. At this time, the chair will ask the delegates if there are any objections to the draft resolution. If there are none, the draft resolution is adopted by consensus and is renamed as Resolution 1.1. Discussion should aim towards building consensus. For those who are not familiar with the term consensus, it is where everyone's opinions are heard, understood by every other member in the group, and a solution is created that respects those opinions. Consensus is the best solution that a group can achieve at a time. This means that even parties disagree, there is still overall consent to move forward to settle the issue. This requires cooperation among members with different interests and opinions. For more information on what a resolution looks like, please visit the EAMUNC website for a sample resolution.
Moving on to the press statement. The press statement is a declaration to the media made by the President of the Security Council on behalf of all members. It is issued as United Nations press release in English and French. The member nations, before moving into a process of drafting a resolution, will decide a subtopic that the press statement will address based on recent issues. Once this is completed, the Council as a whole will move on to drafting a press statement. This will be followed by a line-by-line review, just as in the case of drafting a resolution, where sponsors and non-sponsors will discuss each amendment, negotiating each other. This can either be done by an informal session or a session moderated by the Bureau. This decision will be made by the Bureau. Moving on, delegates, let's talk about what you are supposed to do prior to the conference, that is, your research and position papers. The background guide is a good place to start your research. However, it is imperative to understand that it alone is in no way sufficient to produce fruitful discussions while in session. I recommend that all delegates look into past actions of your respective nations and any national or international organizations concerning the given topic and thoroughly analyze its advantages and loopholes. This is sure to give you an upper hand in the resolution making process. After you have done your basic research and reading about your topic and country, you can move on to writing your position paper.
A position paper stands as a document which familiarizes the Council with your country's stance and essentially explains your opinion at the topic on hand. Writing a position paper may initially appear as a challenging task to most, but with regular research, you will be able to write a great position paper. A position paper is broadly divided into three parts. The first part is the introduction. Your introductory paragraph must contain a general overview of the issue on an international stand, giving a brief idea of the problems, its history, and perhaps some solutions. The aspect of the issue that affects your country the most can also be a part of your introduction. In the next part, you have to explain your country's stand on the issue and a few existing policies. This paragraph deals with the present situation of your country concerning this issue and past actions taken. Keep in mind that this section of your position paper will be exclusive to your country. However, in the case of no significant effort being put in, delegates should explain his or her country's neutral stance or appreciation with current efforts being made. The third part is the paramount part of your position paper. It deals with possible solutions your country hopes to put forward to the issue at hand. In case your country has not expressed any strong sentiments, delegates have the opportunity to put forward their own view on what can be done, keeping in mind that the suggestions do not conflict with the country's stance. This will be the most important part of your position paper as it showcases your ideas and opinions. What you feel is the best course of action. Delegates, please note that all position papers should be submitted to the Bureau before the conference. Your position paper must be about a page long. You can use the font Times New Roman and font size 12. At the end of your position paper, you need to mention your bibliography, that is, names of sites or links that you have visited to write your paper, essentially, your source of information. Remember that it's extremely important to include all the sites that you've used in the bibliography. Please note that plagiarism is strictly prohibited and will not be tolerated.
Moving on to the awards. While the objective of any MUN is to collectively work with other delegates in drafting a resolution by consensus, the performance and cooperation shown by each delegate in the conference will be assessed by the Bureau and awards will be given accordingly. Best Position Paper. This award will be given to the delegate who succeeds in giving a detailed yet brief outline of their respective country's stance on the issue in their position paper. Best Delegate. This award is given to the delegate who portrays excellent leadership skills and diplomatic prowess with his or her fellow delegates to reaching consensus, voicing their opinions, and contributing creative and plausible solutions to solving the problem at hand. Diplomacy Award. The delegate or delegates who take up the initiative to work with their fellow members in a diplomatic manner and help accelerate the decision making process will be considered worthy of this award. Honorable mentions. Delegates displaying a great sense of enthusiasm in the resolution making process and delegates who have the potential to do better in future MUNs will be given the honorable mention. Please do note that only those delegates who have attended all council sessions will be eligible for awards. You must remember that it is not about the quantity of speech, but the quality of speech in the given time that really matters. We do not believe that winning awards is the main purpose of an MUN. Rather, awards are a way of recognizing delegates for their hard work, cooperation, and leadership in a council.
Delegates, this may be a lot to take in. However, do try to enjoy this journey remembering its main objective. We encourage you to pursue the topic at hand enthusiastically and do your research wholeheartedly. Do not hesitate to give your opinion on anything being discussed. Be confident and ready to be actively engaged in the council discussions. In case of any queries, do feel free to contact any of us as we are here to help and guide you. We sincerely hope that you have a memorable and, more importantly, an educational conference. We look forward to seeing you and hearing your new and creative ideas soon. From us at the Security Council, we wish you all the very best.